Good evening, and this is session one of Gauntlet Quarterly. This is a campaign for Masks, a New Generation, that is going to run across all 3 months of the first 3 months of 2019. This is something I did last year, split things up into longer campaigns. We're going to try it with Masks New Generation. This was suggested to me by Stephen Desjardins, who said he wanted to see how Masked worked over a longer time, since we'd only ever had a chance to do one-shots and short-term things. So I appreciate his suggestion to do this. It fits in because this is also part of something that Rich Rogers is working towards here on the Gauntlet, which is Gauntlet Comics, which is a shared universe of different games, superhero and otherwise, set in the same comic universe. So, for example, of course, I'm doing Masks, a New Generation because it's an obvious pick, but I know that Jim Crocker is talking about running The Ward, which is a hospital drama set in a superhero hospital there. And I can imagine, doing all kinds of other things in this. It's not necessarily superheroes, but I love superheroes, so we're starting from the basics for this. Rich has put together a wiki. We did a brief pseudo microscope session to create some things for that. We're not going to worry about that too much tonight, but do know that things that we establish on the table are going to get added into the wiki, where that material is going to be put in there. I'm not sure the exact thing for that. I think Rich has a session tracker that I'm going to work through after we get done with the session. Also, if you're watching this, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which is an online gaming community that has a blog. It has a monthly zine. It has multiple podcasts, and it has a great community of gamers. We have more than 100 games on the calendar in January. It's a crazy wide set of games that we have there. And so you can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. Now, I've played with these three players multiple times before, so they're all familiar with the safety tools that the Gauntlet uses. We follow an inclusivity policy, but we also use safety tools at the table. I use the X card as a kind of very most basic default, which means that you may hear us talk about X carding something. You may see us visibly do something. That means that it's material that we're not comfortable with. We're finding bothersome, we're finding problematic, whatever. We may stop to get a sense of what the range is of it, but we're just going to move past it. We're going to excise it. So that is on the table. That's especially important, I think, because we're dealing with a game about teenagers, about, even if they're late teens, these are our kids struggling with issues, and that can bring up a whole host of different things. So with that in mind, I want to talk to you three. You three get to really set the stage here. You get to say what we're doing in many ways here with Masks. Before I go to that, let's just talk tone. Now, tone can obviously vary. Masks can be more like, the brighter Teen Titans, or it can be more like the new Teen Titans that are on TV with people swearing, or it can be kind of darker like Runaways, or it can be a little bit funnier like Young Avengers or the new West Coast Avengers, or things like that. Does anyone have a strong preference on something you definitely do want or don't want to see in terms of tone? Feel strongly about, like, I don't want to do this range, or this is not as interesting to me. Stephen, if I were to put that question to you first, do you have any strong feelings?
No strong feelings. I kind of expect it to be a reasonably serious game with lots of teen drama, because that's what you expect from Masks. but I'm not ruling anything out.
Okay. Q?
I agree. I guess I don't feel like something that is funny or over the top.
Okay.
I do feel so. I personally prefer things like superheroes that are a little bit more dark, that come with real life kind of issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely leaning towards the more serious side. Chris, how do you feel about that?
I'm okay with that, but I do like a little bit of sunshine every once in a while. So maybe like I don't know if I want to go like relentlessly like broody dark all the
Okay.
time. Like have a few bright spots in there. Some fun interactions every once in a while.
So serious, but not grim dark.
I think that fits for what I'm thinking of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and to be honest, I like the dichotomy between them. So
Okay.
like, if we have something that's really dark some period of time, then have some amazing bright moments, or vice versa. Have things that are shiny and the heroes prevail, and then really dark areas from time to time.
So probably the most recent Young Justice is probably a good model for that, because that's a thing that has some bright, fun moments, but then there's some dark stuff going on in the background. Does that seem like maybe a fair assessment? If that's a touchstone that you're familiar with?
That seems fair to me. I'm old, so I would have said New Mutants, but no. But Young Justice is really cool too.
I'm not familiar with Young Justice, so that sounds great.
Yeah, you should check it out if you haven't watched it. It's the first 2 seasons are worth watching. They're really smart.
The third one apparently is very good so far. I've seen good reviews. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. But
Yeah, I think it hasn't. I think it's the premiere is in a couple of days. There haven't actually been any episodes yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've actually started putting out reviews of it, I think.
Right,
okay.
right, and I think it's only on DC's streaming service. So,
which Rich has taunted me that he has subscribed to that. So, I was going to subscribe to it until I found out there was a highly curated comic book experience there, rather than like Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, the TV part is really good. Like all of the best like animated stuff is on there, which is really cool. But yeah, the comic books are really handpicked.
Well, Len, so we're going to kind of roll in that midpoint. With that in mind, are there things that you definitely want to draw a line in front of, and that includes like material you might object to, but it also includes like story tropes or things like that. Think of this as sort of our we're doing a palette as well as the kind of lines and veils. So again, Stephen, anything that you want to definitely draw a line on or definitely want to see?
Nothing specific. I mean,
okay.
I am going to be using the Legacy playbook, and I think it'll be fairly obvious from what I've developed of the backstory, some of the kinds of things that I want to see, but I don't think I need to specify that.
Okay. Anything you definitely want to keep off the table?
No.
Okay. Q?
I can't think of anything that I'd like to keep off the table or anything like that. So I am playing a newborn playbook, and the direction I'm going with it right now is I'm thinking to emphasize the weirdness, the unearthliness of it, and the mutability of it. It changes a lot.
Mutability. Okay. And Chris, anything that's definitely off the table for you?
My general standards are I don't want to see sexual violence at the table, and no like child abuse. Those are my two.
That seems fair.
Also, I do have a quick question for Q. The newborn playbook. I was looking at doing a doomed playbook. Does that intersect too weirdly with the newborn as far as what they do? I haven't read through the newborn playbook.
No, I don't think so. The newborn is so just to tell you a little bit of what I'm considering right now is the newborn is popped up on Earth, and they have things like regeneration and powers evolve and mutate, and I think the doomed is completely different. So I think you're fine.
Okay.
and just let me know if I'm leaning too much in a direction that you see your character as, and I can lean away.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we've got a legacy, we've got a doomed, we've got a newborn. Let's talk about framing. We could just go classic masks and like throw us in as a team there in this new Gauntlet City, or we could do something a little bit different. I don't know if anybody has a particular idea on the table. There's always, of course, the classic school academy approach. There's the on the run approach. There are various different frames that we can do with that. We don't have to necessarily play in Gauntlet City. Any strong like my default is the sort of the mask stuff, unless someone is like, I really want to maybe try this. Strong feelings on that.
Well, my character has a stable home life, so I don't want to do the runaway thing.
Okay.
Runaway thing. I was expecting. I mean, she's in high school. This is a typical masks setup.
Okay. Well, then let's stick with typical masks, and let's work on that. Why doesn't everybody? You've got the sheet. Why don't you go ahead and start putting stuff in? Doing your picks, and once we get a little ways into that, then we'll do some intros, and we'll start looking at the background questions. one of the things I'll probably do after this session is I'll go through the character keeper and build something so that when you click on a condition, you'll get an alert as to what moves you then have a penalty for from that condition. Because that's one thing that I often lose track of when I'm playing masks.
Oh, Lowell, would it be okay to add in a couple of extra slots underneath the moves track? The Doom has a lot of like little bells and whistles to try and fit in there. fit in there.
Sure. I can do that. You can merge those cells as you need to.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, I put them under extras. I'm sorry. Hang on a second. Let me. Cut.
See, I'm the green track, by the way, if that makes a difference.
Now, here's what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see. Let's make clear formatting in that row. And then I will insert. There you go. You should have 4 extra lines there then. Make sure to also put in your moment of truth and your team moves at the very bottom. And Chris, we'll put together a little Doom track for you. Then I'll put that in there. Make that up with a lovely drop down with little black hearts on it. So.
Excellent. Actually, my character's Doom is like weird and time related technological. So
okay,
maybe like little creepy circuit boards or something.
Creepy circuit boards. Okay, I can do that. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is then I'm going to start with Stephen and get him to introduce his character. I'm going to ask some questions about that. We're going to go and do those sort of general introductions and questioning section, and then we'll move on to the team and establishing relationships and influence and all of that kind of thing. So, Stephen, why don't you tell us about your legacy character?
All right, I'm playing Sarah Sparks, who is she's 5'2", very athletic, with Holmesian deduction and a lot of gadgets. Basically, your Captain America type with gadgets. And she's a third-generation superhero. The legacy was founded by her grandfather, Flagwaver, who debuted in the 1970s as sort of a counterculture hero. And later on, he became the celebrity spokesman for the Feats Not Fists Foundation, which helped victims of superhuman violence. And during the 80s, he made a lot of PSAs that were on Saturday morning cartoons. So there's a whole generation that grew up knowing who he was. And he's sort of, a lot of people admire him. A lot of people think he's sort of corny. And he had twin children, Ted and Greg. Ted followed in his footsteps as American star. Greg was supposed to follow in his footsteps as American Stripe, but he became a dark vigilante instead, became Night Terror. And he married my mother, who was a teen runaway. He rescued her from some mad scientist type that was kidnapping runaways for experiments, and that relationship didn't last long. He was kind of abusive. They divorced when I was 4. He is currently in prison. He was beating up some low-life thug for information. It turned out to be an undercover police officer who was wearing a wire. So he pleaded guilty in return for the judge keeping his secret identity under seal. He could be getting out at any time. We don't, because of the court order, we don't know exactly when he's going to be released. But I mean, I want nothing to do with him. I adore my Uncle Ted and my Grandpa Alan, but I think my dad is just a big jerk.
So let me ask you that. How long ago was your father sent up the river?
About 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Now, prior to that, had you kind of been, in your father's household then, or were you by then?
No. I was living with my mother. He has only supervised contact with me.
And what is your mother then? Was she aware of the whole secret identity thing?
Yeah, she was aware that my father was a superhero. I mean, that's how they got involved. He rescued her.
Mm-hmm. So then, given that she knew that, did she know your uncle and your grandfather? Had they had a connection there? How did she feel about, you starting to head that way?
I mean, at first she didn't know, but certainly, I mean, after the divorce, they brought her into the family. They provided a lot of support, and she certainly found out. I mean, I think at this point in my relationship, my Uncle Ted has been super supportive in terms of training, but he thinks it's too early for me to make my debut. But he's not going to be judgmental. My mom is sort of in denial about it. I think she knows, but she just hasn't been saying anything.
And your grandfather?
My grandfather, he actually took a dose of lethal radiation about 5 years ago. He's currently in suspended animation in my Uncle Ted's basement.
So he wasn't around to see his son go to prison.
No.
So let me ask you this then. Your a legacy, is that something that is obvious in your costuming, in your approach, in your appearance? Do people go, oh, well, that's clearly, the descendant of Flag Waver, or, connected to American Star?
I mean, there's some speculation, like on blog posts and things. The outfit I'm wearing, it's a blue leotard with an arc of white stars up my right side. So people say, oh yeah, this is sort of a flag related costume. She's got similar powers to Flag Waver and American Star. She could be related, but there hasn't been like a public announcement or anything.
Okay. So then who is it? Purely your family then that kind of worries about that reputation, or is it known amongst the superhero community?
I mean, it's primarily my family at this point, but I'm also concerned about maintaining my reputation among the superhero community. I mean, I feel like if I did anything shameful, it would reflect on my legacy, even if it's not known yet. I mean, I'm planning to announce that I'm part of the legacy. I just want to make a bigger name for myself first.
Are you worried that people will associate you with Night Terror?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And how old?
15.
15. Gadgets, is that something that your uncle supplies? Is that what is that kind of chain of custody for that?
I've been working in my Uncle Ted's lab. I mean, some of them are sort of standard gadgets. Some of them are things that I invented myself. So I've got an impact-resistant costume. I've got like dazzle fists that are mostly a distraction. But when I hit people, there'll be these flashes of lights that it helps me avoid them. I rely more on agility than anything else to avoid injury. I've got a grapple gun, and I've got a utility belt with like burglary tools, forensic analysis, stuff like that.
And you mentioned that your grandfather is seen as sort of corny, as one of these golden age things. What about your uncle? I mean, he's still active? Is he perceived as also being corny or not?
He's active. He's very well respected within the superhero community. He works as a doctor at Esculapius Hospital, which is the public hospital that has the superhero treatment ward. So he's gotten to know a lot of heroes through his work there. When they come in to be patched up, he does a lot of team ups.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of the contacts that he's made there. So he's not a full-time superhero, but he's a very active part-time superhero with a high profile.
Well, then what is the public perception of? I mean, it is known, I assume, that Night Terror and American Star are the sort of second generation legacy to Flag Waver.
Yeah, actually, Night Terror's connection to the legacy isn't public knowledge.
Okay, so American Star, his connection. I mean, do people? I mean, we know superheroes. I mean, they obviously have respect for that kind of work, but what's the public perception of that?
I mean, the public perception. He's well respected. He's well liked, but he's not as big a celebrity as his father. People think of him. Oh yeah, that's Flag Waver's kid.
And what kind of school do you go to? Standard, a private high school, a public high school, a particular kind of like magnet advanced school? What do you think?
Yeah, I think some kind of magnet school. I mean, if there is a public superhero program, it'll be the school that has that, but also a lot of regular kids. And I'm not known as the superhero in that school. I mean, I sort of dress kind of nerdily and unathletically, and deliberately get C's in gym.
Let's is there anything else into your backstory questions that we haven't hit here?
Let's see.
Of course, I don't have the book with the playbooks in it, so I have to.
Yeah, and it's I mentioned Feats Not Fists, right? The charity, right? And so he's very proud of setting up teen violence prevention programs and criminal rehabilitation programs as part of that. He considers that to be his greatest accomplishment.
Anything else on there, or we hit everything on that?
Right. Yeah, and the greatest opponent my legacy ever faced.
Yeah,
that was Dame Canada. At one point in the 90s, my grandfather was trapped inside a video game where in a fictional world where Canada ruled the world, and he escaped from the video game with the help of that world's greatest hero, Dame Canada, and she somehow came through with him. I mean, she became convinced that my grandfather had somehow erased her timeline.
Oh, okay.
And she has been trying to change history to bring her timeline back. She thinks that if she can change history so that Canada wins the War of 1812, it'll bring her world back.
Yeah.
And my grandfather actually got that dose of lethal radiation, disabling one of her devices, which would not have worked, but would have had catastrophic consequences.
We'll come back to why you care about the team once we know what the team is like.
Right.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one. All right. That gives us a good deal to work with. We'll come back when we talk when we first met and all of that stuff. Let's come next to Q. Tell us about your character, Gabriel.
Okay. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Number one, so Chris, I noticed that you have some kind of physical mutability. Is that right?
Yes.
Body transmutation.
Yeah.
How do you envision that, just so I don't duplicate any of that?
Basically, he's a techno-organic hybrid thing now. So he shifts that into weapons. He can also create psychic constructs that do other weapons or other structures. Basically, he just looks like he basically forms guns and things like that. If you've seen the Blue Beetle armor effects in some of the cartoons where they've shown Blue Beetle on the DC stuff, it's sort of like that. Like his arms can turn into cannons. He can manifest wings or rockets. That sort of thing is how he normally does it. He could probably do weirder stuff, but he hasn't tried that yet.
Right. I just wanted to ask, so I leaned away from whatever you were doing since I'd said I'd do so before. So the other question, I like the idea. So I think that Sarah Sparks mentioned that there was potentially a superhero high school. Is that something that we all sound good for? Because I can, lean into that.
Well, I know she has a secret identity, so I think she was just saying like a magnet school for the talented.
Okay, I see. Okay, so back to the original question. So okay. Gabriel is a newborn and is probably only 2 or 3 years old. Gabriel was sent to Earth by some people out of time or space. And basically they were there. This is kind of an exploration.
Okay.
And Gabriel was intended to wake up like 4000 BC and was expecting that kind of time frame. Instead, they woke up during the current age. So Gabriel is very mutable. Everything's much more diverse than they thought it would be. Pronouns are they, them. Doesn't really have a secret identity. It's very obvious that Gabriel is not completely human. So there's no secret identity here.
Okay.
My freak is very high, and my mundane is very low. So I don't fit in well with the rest of the world. My moves are that my powers have a mind of their own. So I can take a condition and gain brand new abilities adapted to the situation. And then I lose those once the danger's gone. I also have regeneration. So whenever I'm taken out, I can, there's an emergency regeneration process that changes me significantly. This might be my gender or my physical appearance or things like that. I also have a set of lessons. These lessons are statements like I am, or a superhero should, or always or never. The ones I have filled out are I am discovering the world and the people around me, and never take a life. Those can change throughout the game as my personality changes or I get new directives. The abilities that I have is an elemental form of light. So this would be what I envision is invisibility, or being able to transform to light to move from place to place, and solid light projection. So in order to, shoot beams out of their hands that are like solid objects, stronger than steel. I think that this life form, so Gabriel adapts to whatever is in their environment, and they basically, whenever they were awakened, they weren't quite prepared for this world. And I think I'm going to lean into, I think we have a couple of future time travel kind of things that are going on with several of the characters. So I like the idea that people are sending her to the past to discover things, and they haven't, something went wrong and Gabriel woke up at the wrong time. Other questions are, let's see.
So what you're saying is so there's some sort of temporal set of figures.
Yes.
possibly in the future, possibly outside of time,
Yes.
that sent you as some kind of exploration and monitoring and reporting device.
Yes.
And do you think you landed in the wrong time, or did you not wake up until this time?
I think that I've been around since the time I was intended to go to, but I didn't wake up until now.
Okay. What made you wake up? Was there an incident? Was it, did it just happen? Were you buried under, rubble?
I think that I was intended to be found by a particular group back in that time, and that group didn't find me, and I've been undiscovered for that period of time until someone was exploring and found me.
Exploring where?
In the Middle East.
Okay. So the next question on your backstory is, how are you different from humans? What you say you're clearly inhuman, clearly don't look like a human. What do they look like?
So Gabriel looks like I think there's always the light and shadows around them are mismatched.
Okay.
It 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 offsets things and makes them look a little weird. Like unnatural. Um there is a normally, mainly humanoid body,
Okay.
but this changes from day to day or month to month. So Gabriel's been female in the past, it's been male in the past, and it weirds people out. It's still exploring and discovering humanity and finding all sorts of fascinating things.
When Gabriel looks like it looks like a particular gender or so on, is it clearly a simulacra of a human? Is it human looking? Is it uncanny valley?
Yeah. So it's clearly human but as soon as someone looks at them, like you mentioned, uncanny valley, as soon as someone looks at them, they recognize there's something unnatural. It would come up if you were watching television. This is special effects. The
Okay.
shadows don't look right. The light's in the wrong place, but it's not on television. It's real life.
Okay. So you look like Battle Angel Lita from those trailers. Okay. All right. The sort of slightly offness.
Yeah.
So the game assumes the playbook assumes a caretaker.
Right.
Who is that caretaker for you?
So I think this caretaker is the contact that I have with the people that are out of space and time.
Okay.
And they're in contact, and I think expressed surprise whenever I first woke up, because I woke up later than they expected.
Okay.
Yeah. And do I need to name them and all
Yeah,
of that?
yeah. Who is this contact? Because this contact is somebody you're going to interact with. This caretaker.
Okay. So I know them as the name of let me find a name. I know them as David.
David. Okay.
Yes. And this is something that again is very weird for others. I get transmissions. No one else can really detect them. So they, whenever I was first talking to other people from out of the norm, they thought I was hearing voices until we acted on such things and then realized, no, I was acting on direction from someone who knows what's going to happen.
So they have a word for that. Anyway, so you listen to the voices in your head, and they tell you what to do.
Yes.
And its name is David. And it's a conversation that you can instigate. They can instigate.
I don't instigate it; they instigate it.
Okay.
And they ask, mainly it's for reports.
Okay.
So I will give them information about what I'm seeing. Yes.
Okay. What about humanity fascinates you the most?
It's the diversity. This is why my form seems to change as often. It's almost like changing clothes for me.
Okay.
I am fascinated by the different shapes and colors and hair and styles of people. Yeah.
you say you've been around only 2 or 3 years, and we've established that you're kind of a device, an automaton in some ways. We don't know exactly what that means in the context of these people that's been sent back. What is your emotional maturity like? Is it teenager emotional maturity?
Yeah. So basically, whenever I came back, I was fully formed intellectually, but I'm socially not able to kind of move around yet. I'm still discovering my place in the world and how to interact with others. So I'd say a teenager is a good description of, maybe lashing out, maybe being open when I shouldn't, things like that.
All right. I like that. I just want to get that clearly on the table. Okay. We will come back to you to talk about the first game together and the relationship questions, which brings us to finally our doomed overclock. Doomed. Oh, doomed. Tell us about overclock.
Oh, Will Collier was a gothy kid who was basically either fortunate or unfortunate, depending on your viewpoint, enough to stumble across a crashed timecraft observation post that was sent back in time by the Imperionics machine, which is a huge machine hive mind that controls an Earth in a dark future timeline / alternate dimension. That may or may not be clear as far as which one it is, but it sent back Tachytron to try and slowly infect our current timeline, and that post was designed to assist it. The post was damaged in the transit, and when Will stumbled upon it, its damaged programming bonded with him instead of bonding with Tachytron. And that enabled him to take control of the post, and it shifted to a point where Tachytron has not been able to find it. But that forms his observatory, his sanctuary as overclock. So that's his sanctuary move, is that observation post. The post has a teleportal. It's got a semi-autonomous nanocloud assistant, and it has locks and traps, meaning that since it's bonded with him, it's now securing itself against what it considers other threats. The virus is a techno-organic, nano-level infection. So it basically allows, in its current corrupted form in him, it allows him to do lots of cool and interesting things, or stuff he thinks is cool and interesting, create cyberpunky like body morphing effects and things like that. Create his normal superhuman look, which is him in a he looks like a big either a dude in powered armor or a humanoid robot that that shifts and changes shape according to need, and also gives him the ability to create small nano constructs that he let him do other things, like he can create a sword if he wants to look like a some sort of like sword fighting robot like Voltron or something. Or it can create like a gun, it can create a platform, that sort of stuff. He is other than that, his doom sign is the Dark Visions.
Okay.
Because the time stream based infection from the Imperionics does allow him to get glimpses of possible current events or possible futures. However, doing that means that he's making at least minimal contact with the Imperionics active server itself, and that's bad.
Okay.
That means it can try to locate its lost materials, including the observation post and him, in an attempt to reassimilate. And that's the doom that's coming for him. Is eventually it's going to, eventually this nanovirus is going to figure itself out, and he's going to be toast, or at least what is human about him will be toast.
And what are the two things that you've chosen that increase your doom track?
Overexertion. Excuse me. See, oh, wait a second. No, I changed that last minute. It's facing danger alone and talking about it openly. Basically, if he faces danger alone, that means he's depending a lot more on the Imperionics infection abilities. So that means that he's operating at a higher visibility.
Okay.
Because if he's around other superhumans, as far as time goes, are just walking chaos engines. So the more he's around other people, other superhumans, the harder it is for him to be detected. But if he ends up trying to face a danger alone, that's trouble. That means he's standing out in the time stream. The other is talking about it openly, which means that he is basically sub-referencing and hyperlinking in the terms of the Imperionics collective. So that means he's drawing its attention if he talks about it too openly.
Well, let me ask you this. This kind of goes off of your backstory questions here. At what point did you realize that you are not going to survive this?
I think he, after he got over the initial rush of, and maybe a little bit of terror over the being infected, and then realized what he could do with it, he started to talk to the Nano Cloud assistant program to kind of understand what was happening and what was going on, and it basically described what was coming, what the Imperionics is, what its plans were, and that hit him like a brick. Like he realized, oh, this is literally an infection. It's a computer virus that affects humans. This is not good. The type he has is corrupted, so he can't infect anybody else with it because of the damage it suffered during the crash. But it's definitely still infected him, and it's slowly building him into something that won't be human anymore.
So the Imperionics is making changes to bring about a dark future. Why does that matter to you? I mean, that's in the future. That's like way down the line. They're just little things that are going on here. What has made you decide to oppose them? Is it only preservation? Is it only that Tachytron wants to rip this out of your body?
Well, Tachytron wants that post back, number one. Like, that's its biggest concern. And the purpose of the post is to set up a cross-time infection zone. So the Imperionics isn't necessarily just preparing for its possible future. It's trying to retroactively infect earlier timelines.
Okay.
And other alternative dimensions. So this was supposed to be like basically like a foothold or a beachhead for it to start an infection. And the crash and its bonding with this, weird kid has screwed up that plan. And so it's still coming. I mean, it's coming for him, obviously, because it wants to purge the impurities from its perfect system. But it's also coming for like everything he likes, everybody he loves, everything he cares about. It wants to make every timeline it touches into it.
And the other question that is on that backstory list is, who outside of the team is crucial to defeating your nemesis?
Ooh, I think that he is going to need the help of an expert, like someone who actually really knows and understands alternate timelines and dimensions. And weirdly enough, it's somebody that uses magic. After hearing some of the backstory of our newborn character, Q, would you mind if maybe that entity is something that's made contact with your supervisory entity, like maybe some sort of wizard or someone that can do something that the Imperionics Collective can't anticipate because it's inherently chaotic and messy, like magic.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. I think that Gabriel will describe this as not magic, but any sufficiently advanced technology appears to be magic. So for the collective, it appears to be magic to them because they can't follow that kind. Yeah.
So we've got some kind of magic-based temporal defender, fixer of timelines, who maybe, you need their help to prevent these things, and maybe is not entirely happy with a random time probe dropped into the middle of the 21st century. There, we'll figure out about them, but I like that.
Picked up by some weirdo goth kid.
Right. All right. So let's figure out how you came together. We've got those 3 questions, but I think we kind of even need to frame it a little before we get to that, how we first came together. Because the first question is actually going to be the Dooms question if we go in the order that Brendan suggests. So do you think it, did an incident break out? Was there an actual crime? Sarah, what do you think we're talking about? What kind of event was this?
I think it was just some sort of random alien attack on Gauntlet City. I mean, we weren't in the center of it, but we were all sort of in a part of it, and we just jumped into action helping civilians.
Yeah. So let's say in classic form, at the mall, during some kind of shopping thing, the aliens come down to attack. The 3 of you are there for various reasons. What kind of aliens do you think these are, Q, or were?
I think these were aliens that were intent on a global takeover.
Okay.
And I think these were these aliens were almost like an insectoid race.
Okay.
So they had the soldiers that came down after us, but they had a central intelligence someplace else.
Okay. So got that. Was this, let me ask you this, Chris, was this a localized attack or a global attack?
I think it was part of a global attack, and we just happened to be on scene for that little part of Gauntlet City.
Okay. Well, I think the order I want to do these questions that makes sense to me in terms of getting them is, I want to start with the newborns, and then I want to look at the doomed, and then I want to look at the legacy. So, newborn, why don't you put your question out there, read that to us, and then let's figure that out.
And this is when the team first came together.
When the team first came together.
Yeah. The team discovered me during the incident. Thanks to them, I reached the outside world and helped in the fight. Where and how did they find me? And who gave me my first nickname? So, since this was a global event, I think that the aliens inadvertently, because of their numerous nature, discovered me. And I knew from where from what I was sent back for, these weren't natural. So I started fighting them back and then found the resistance. So I think I said I was found in the Middle East because that's where I was intended for. But I found the resistance that seemed to be focused in on Gauntlet City.
So maybe, in fact, part of what woke you up was this, I mean, that they had some sort of tech or some sort of unnatural thing that interfered, and that was the thing that woke you up?
I actually think that they came close enough to where I was located. It was really a proximity thing, but it was a proximity by a sentient race, and they woke me up.
So do you think that you were buried, or were you kind of like sideways in time? Did you kind of pop out when this happened?
No, I think I was actually buried in a location. I was actually intended to be found in a cave or something like that, and something happened so that I wasn't.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
If instead of at the mall, we were at the Gauntlet City Museum, an exhibition of Middle Eastern artifacts.
Ooh.
Okay.
I like that. That's very good.
Essentially, the idea that the people that had sent you back with the insertion had done some kind of disguise object for container. Okay, that makes sense. And so what happened? What do we see on screen? What's on panel happens that then we see you come out of?
So I think that what's on screen is the fight is going on in the library, and I think that these alien bug kind of creatures are being punished and pushed back, and one is thrown into like a large stone tablet. It's almost like a side of the wall that's been taken out.
Okay.
And where that happens, there's a crack that forms, and you start to see light form out of it. And that light then flows out into a puddle, which forms into Gabriel themselves. And the nickname was the Lightbringer. So that's why Gabriel became the name that I go by.
Okay, and who gave you that name?
I think it was let me find the superhero names. I think it was Overclock.
That would figure. That sounds super gothy.
Yeah. Ooh, the Lightbringer. All right. That sounds good to me. So that gives us a sense of this alien attack, this smashing through in the museum, shatter back onto that. Doomed, Overclock, what is your when our team first came together question?
It says we paid a high cost for victory. What was it? I think what we had to do in order to achieve victory is we had to take a very, very ugly step. We had to kill the invading insect species. We had to kill their queen.
Ooh.
Effectively exterminating, effectively it's genocide on that hive is what it amounts to. They can no longer reproduce.
So let me ask you this. Are you saying that rather than just beating back this particular assault here, that the three of you then stopped the full invasion?
I think that the queen happened to be where we were.
Okay.
And because Gauntlet City itself was a focal point for the invasion, because apparently it's a pretty heavily superhero-y city, so they figured they needed to hit it hard. And the queen, in addition to being their hive mother, effectively, that basically formed a huge part of their invading fleet. Like, it is the mothership and the queen.
And let me ask you this. Did you realize that was what was going on, or is it that you just acted and then after the fact realized?
I think it was just the biggest ship that was in our immediate area. Not that we necessarily knew exactly what it was, like what that was going to be the end result of it. It's like, oh crap, that's their biggest ship. That's where all their bad things are. That's where the most of the invading army seems to be jumping out of. Let's see if we can take that thing down.
So a fairly public display on your part.
I think so.
Okay. You guys good with that? Any modifications you want to make to that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify that we didn't intentionally kill the queen, right, and cause the genocide. And I mean, and that could be where Q got his never take a life thing from.
Right.
Yeah, because we didn't realize until afterwards that was what it was. Like, we just thought it was a really big ship because they're all insects. I mean, none of us are xenobiologists, xenobiology experts or anything. It's just that's a big bug ship. Kill it.
And certainly there are going to be some people in the superhero community who think that this situation can be dealt with less lethality, and some who think exactly the opposite. With that in mind, then let me put this to the legacy. What is your question, your when our team first came together question.
All things considered, we did well and impressed an established hero. Who was it? I am going to say that it was Dr. Nicholas Allset, who heads a research division at Aeon, which is sort of the overarching alien invasion agency. And he kind of has a reputation for being manipulative and trying to get heroes under his thumb. So coming to his attention can be a mixed blessing.
Did he come and talk to you, or is it just that we saw on screen him watching your activities?
Yeah, he talked to us. He gave me one of his business cards with a secure communications protocol, and I found 5 separate tracking devices in it.
So he assumed you were not smart.
Or else it was a test.
Okay, interesting. And you stuck together after that. You've been together for at least a few months. That the three of you have worked together on and off. Let's kind of stick with you, Stephen. Let's look at your relationship questions.
Okay, well, I once got caught doing something that shames my legacy with Gabriel. I mean, I think I broke into the museum with them to examine the exhibit, get clues to his origin, but they didn't have much experience being stealthy, and they triggered some alarms that I had disabled. So that mission did not go quite as well as I had hoped, and we were caught on the security cameras.
Does that work for you, Q?
Yep, that sounds great.
And what about the other question?
I trust Overclock, and I told them an important secret of my legacy. I mean, I think I told him that my grandfather is Flagwaver and he's still alive, and that I'm looking for a cure.
Oh, okay. So you revealed that portion of it. All right. And influence?
Everyone has influence over me.
Okay. So everyone starts with influence over Sarah Sparks. And then let's look at our doomed. Let's look at your doomed relationships.
Okay. For my doomed relationships, my questions are: you told someone about your doom and the danger you're in? I think I probably told Gabriel, because immediately, they seem to be the one who might have the most to offer as far as a solution, because they seem to be like some sort of otherworldly entity themselves that is obviously, or from my perspective, good and cool and awesome. And he thought, oh, well, they are an immensely powerful otherworldly entity. Maybe they can offer some insider help.
That makes sense.
How's that for you, Q?
Yeah. Actually, Gabriel does not understand the impact of losing yourself, because Gabriel, regenerates, right? So, you get taken out, this virus takes over you, you die, you come back, right? Why not?
That makes sense. And the other relationship question?
You'd love to kiss someone before your doom comes. Well, I get there's only one other person here. I mean, Stephen, do you think that works for Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she may not realize this, but sure, you're perfectly welcome to.
Of course not. He's a teenager. There's no way he's going to tell you straight. That's
Right.
Right.
Well, but she does have Holmesian deduction.
But she has Holmesian deduction, but it's tainted by teenagerness.
Yes.
Let me ask you this then. How old is Overclock? We know that Sarah's 15. How old is Overclock?
I think Overclock is probably either 15 or 16.
Okay.
I'll say 15 just so it's easy for them to be in the same like zone as far as school and responsibilities and things like that.
Do you think you go to the same school?
Gosh, that'd be really convenient.
Yeah.
That is plot convenient. So let's say yes.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah is probably in the advanced classes, so you could easily be 16 and they would be in the same classes.
Yeah, you're super smart.
Yeah.
And, I like it better. Let's say like Will ended up, for some reason they ended up in the same PE.
Okay.
Okay.
Because there is no advanced PE. Everybody's just thrown into that one god awful melting pot of horribleness that is high school physical education classes.
All right. So do you realize that Molly and Sarah Sparks are the same person?
Probably not unless you told me, because
all right. So which one do you
have?
Right. So which one do you want to kiss?
Gosh, ooh, that's tricky. I get the impression that probably Overclock would feel like he was closer, unless you can see them actually befriending each other as normal teenagers. Like, 'cause she is way like beyond his league as far as like athleticism.
Okay. Yeah.
Intelligence.
Yeah. So he wants to kiss Sarah. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. That makes sense.
He sees himself as more on Sarah's level as far as that, because when he's Overclock, like, he's a superhero.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah. And she is way hotter as Sarah.
Okay. So if you don't realize that Sarah is Molly, does Molly realize that Overclock is what's your real name? Will
Collier. I'm sure she's probably like recognized voice patterns or something, because she's a super detective, and
right.
He is not like, he's not the Janus. He's not super great at keeping this stuff separate. So he might not have told her specifically, but she's probably like, gosh, that really does sound a lot like that goofy goth kid at school. Oh wait, it is that goofy goth kid from school. That's exactly his speech cadence.
All right, and your influence?
2 people get influence over me because they matter. So since we have 2,
that's handy.
So can you have influence of more than one?
No, influence is on or off.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Gabriel.
Yes.
What are your relationship questions?
My relationships are: blank is an exemplary human. They show you around and tell you how things work. And I think that's Molly.
Okay.
Yeah. Specifically, the secret identity. I envision that Gabriel was recognized as, needed to be taught about society. So this advanced high school that we're in put them into this a special curriculum where social studies and that kind of stuff, learning history, is like the basics, and I'm like in a very almost a junior high or a medial level, but like mathematics and physics and that kind of stuff is a higher level.
So you mentioned that there's some sort of organization that has placed you here that kind of like oversees you being here?
I think it's more along the lines of the heroes. You mentioned feats, not fists. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that still a group?
Yeah. That is an existing charity. I mean,
so it's a charity, but are there superheroes that oversee it?
There are superheroes that are associated. It's not run by superheroes. It's run as just a regular philanthropic organization. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that they might do. They might pull strings to help some new metahuman establish a secret identity.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that sounds great. And my other one, so I have a relationship with your secret identity, which is great. Because I think you've been nice showing me around school and everything. And the other is the behavior of overclock confuses me again and again, and I'm determined to understand humanity better by studying them.
What is it that confuses you? Is it everything?
Well, overclock isn't completely human, but I take everything that he does as human. So where is this? Why is overclock different from other pieces of humanity that I've seen?
Yeah, and plus, I mean, he acts one way towards Molly and a completely different way towards Sarah, but they're the same person. What's up with that?
Yeah, he's actually like, he considers himself to be just way below Molly's league, like not even anywhere near. Like she is like academic and athletic perfection. When he's overclock, he really thinks he's on the, at least on the same level with Sarah Sparks. Like he sees him. It's like he sees himself as good enough for Sarah because they're both superheroes.
Right.
Whereas when he's standing next to Molly, he feels completely outclassed.
Excellent. And influence?
I'm receptive to how people think and behave around me. Everyone gets influence.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody has influence about everybody. All right. Well, let's take about 8 minutes, since that'll get us to the half hour. Take our break now, and when we come back, we'll get a scene and roll with it. Sound good? Okay. Sorry, Sherry had a weird question for me, which was, where does the phrase heavens to Murgatroyd come from?
Isn't that Snagglepuss?
Thank you. That is exactly correct. And then it traces its lineage back to Gilbert and Sullivan, actor Burt Lahr, for a 1944 film. It was a very strange question. It was a rabbit hole of things. She's thinking about a character for Michael Barford's Storm Riders game. She's not in one, but she's thinking of a character for one. So,
Murgatroyd sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon character.
Exactly. It literally means the way to the moors. Stephen, let me ask you a question here. Why is this room on fire? Why is the room you're in on fire?
I
love that.
It was one of my classmates just spontaneously burst into flames, and she's okay, but she set everything around her on fire.
Yeah, there's this halo around her of flames that seems to be like spreading, and it is with a weirdly deliberate action. It's clearly not just random flames. So let me ask you then, Will, what is immediately in danger in this room? You're in this room too. Are you in the gym? Are you in the cafeteria? Where are we at?
I think we are in the cafeteria.
Okay. So suddenly in the cafeteria, this girl jumped up, these flames have come off, things have caught on fire around her and have started off. Of course, now we've got sprinklers getting ready to go off, and you'll see that a couple other people have these flames, phantom flames sprouting from around them, and they seem fine, but it is igniting the area around them. Where are you when this breaks out, Q? Where is our delightful newborn?
So I think the newborn has gone through the line in the cafeteria and has gotten a little bit of each different type of food to try.
Okay.
And then she went over and sat down next to Molly.
Okay.
She appears female today.
All right.
I think that fits better in with that clique. And she's going, she's enjoying food, and whenever she sees children start to burst into flame, she kind of looks over, but she's learned not to act surprised whenever weird things happen, because weird things happen all the time. So she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen that before. That's interesting."
That's a new human behavior. All right. So right now, Molly, you're Molly, and this sort of clearly, paranormal event has broken out in the cafeteria. What do you want to do?
I'm going to jump up on the table, and I'm just going to project my voice. I'm going to try to organize an orderly evacuation of the cafeteria.
Okay, that seems like a reasonable thing to do. Let's see how we want to do that. I think I want to actually have you roll a defend.
Okay, which label is that?
So defend is savior, which is your specialty.
Yes.
Almost no chance this could go horribly wrong.
And I got a 7, so it almost went horribly wrong.
Almost went horribly wrong. By the way, I'll just show you all this. This is something that Patrick and Tyler got me in case something happens and I have to put some hard moves on a shelf off to the side. I've got a whole shelf for that now that I have off to the side. So on a 7 to 9, it costs you expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. So what do you think? Is it that you have to get in the middle of the fire, or that more flames start appearing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that more of the students are bursting into flames. I mean, most of the students are getting out of the way. I managed to avoid a panic, but the phenomenon is getting worse.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so it is that the room is catching. It's running up the concrete columns. It's catching into the drop down ceiling. Things are going up. You're getting that smoke and burning here. But kids are filing out. Will, what do you want to do? Of course, you are also in your secret identity.
I think what Will's going to do is he's going to run over, look like he's reaching under a counter, and he's going to basically psychically construct a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Pull out, 'cause he has no idea where they have the actual fire extinguishers in here. Like, he's not that observant.
Right. Fair enough.
So there's probably one like literally on the wall across, behind the cafeteria counter or something, but he never looks back there.
That sounds perfect.
He pulls that out and starts spraying the flames. People, columns, wherever they are. I don't know, but he doesn't realize this is magic flame or something like that. So he's just trying to mundanely put it out with this manufactured fire extinguisher.
Well, I think that's you unleashing your powers, right? Does that seem what's happening?
I think so.
Okay, then let's have you roll with freak.
Okay, that's not a terrible stat for me, but not my best. So let's see how this goes. That is a 6, so it goes horribly wrong.
That is a 6. So seemingly, when you go to fire that fire extinguisher off, rather than actually like putting the flames out, the flames begin to move and converge and spin around you like a tornado, and the air around you is going up. What do you want to mark?
Ooh, well, I marked potential because I blew it.
Yeah. The good news is you get to mark potential.
I think let's see. I think he's going to mark insecure because everybody saw him grab the fire extinguisher and spray it, and it had exactly the opposite effect of what a fire extinguisher can do. So he thinks that makes him look like a screw up.
That sounds perfect to me. So you will let loose on that. The flames are burning around you, surrounding you. Let's come to you, Gabriel. I think maybe you're getting the sense that this is not normal, right?
Yeah, this is not normal, especially since Molly got up and started trying to direct everyone that they needed to get out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand on the ground in front of the table where Molly is, and I'm going to suck up all of these flames into myself. I'm going to try and pull their light into me.
Interesting. Does that again seem like unleashing your powers?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. That seems more than reasonable to me.
Okay. I rolled a 6 and my freak is a 3, so I've got a 9.
Okay, so that is a 9. So you can mark a condition, or I will tell you how the effect is not as much as you want.
So I think I'm going to mark guilty because I think the light is all pulled into me, but I don't think all the heat is. So I think it diminishes the flames, but doesn't eliminate the heat.
And so, so other things are catching now with sort of standard fire. People have run away. The flames are diminished, and you can see that some of the flames are now kind of roiling and like forming a center point pretty close to where Will is at. People are still running around. This room is in bad shape, but you three are probably the only ones that are in immediate danger right now when we come back to you, Sarah.
I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to try to figure out what's going on.
Okay. Let's have you assess the situation.
That's 9. Assess is superior.
Yes, it is.
So that is a 10.
That is a 10. You get 2 questions from the assess list.
Okay, just a second.
Sure.
I'm looking up the. Here we go. So, what is in the greatest danger here?
What's actually the greatest danger is that you've got this fairly intense set of heat, clearly supernatural here. It is focused on Will, but this building, I mean, right now is, I mean, there's a real chance that this ceiling could come down. You've also got, you know, everything in here that's plastic and stuff that's burning is creating a whole level of kind of toxic fog and smoke through here.
Okay, how can we best end this quickly?
It does seem to be attracted to your actions. I mean, it certainly responded to Will, and it seemed to have formed in some way in reaction to Gabriel. So maybe if you can get out of here, you might be able to draw out some of it such that conventional firefighting measures might assist.
Okay, so I should. So right, so I shout out. It's interested in you too. Try to get out into the open.
Will, you hear that? Over the roaring of the flames, and in front of you, there's, I mean, the flames are dancing, you know, around you, that sort of maelstrom of inferno, and then in front, you'll see this spinning set of flames, and maybe a silhouette starting to form there. What do you want to do?
I think Gabriel hears that, and Molly's saying it authoritatively, and he knows Molly's super smart, so he goes, "Okay, but I didn't do this. This is my fault." As he's running toward like an exit to outside, like one of the emergency exits.
So you're going to rush, or try to rush outside.
Not necessarily
and
rush.
draw it
Like
out.
he's going to move in. If it looks like the stuff is coming with him, like if it looks like it's following him, then he will keep leading it. He's not going to just run out without looking back. Like he's going to make sure that he's not like leaving people he actually somebody he actually likes in the lurch.
Okay. I want you to actually roll take a powerful blow here as you do this.
Oh, okay.
You're kind of running through these flames, moving through them. I mean, even as you move, I mean, the heat is coming with you.
Drat. And of course, I've got a condition marked already. So
yes, you do.
Now I'm going to roll a 12. Oh no, it's still a 6.
Still a 6. So the good news is you still get to mark XP. And you stand strong. Tell me how you weather that storm, how you get through that. What is it that you do that allows you to get out and draw this stuff with you?
I think what he does is as he's running through it, he's spraying the fire extinguisher psychic construct at it, and that seems to like cause at least a minor break in the flame, enough for him to get through it without getting completely scorched. Like his clothing still looked like it's singed a little bit when he like dashes through the flame, but it's not like he's not catching fire from it.
Okay, and definitely that circle of flames and that silhouette are all kind of dragged out with you for some reason. What do you want to do, Gabriel?
So, basically, Will and the silhouette all went outside.
Yeah. Let's assume out into the courtyard out front.
So it's just myself and Molly who are left in here.
Yeah. The room is still conventionally on fire. Students have been directed outside, but it's just the two of you right now.
And Molly said that the danger here is that the room is still on fire, right? That, the room could come down. So I think in that case, I will focus some of this light energy on the sprinklers.
Okay.
To let them go off, and then I'm going to grab Molly's hand and run out of the room.
Okay.
Pulling her with me.
Yeah. I don't think that we need a roll for that because you've already kind of started that process here, and you can follow up. But describe to me what we see in the panel. What do we see?
Yeah. So what we see is this odd-looking, look of confusion, and then a glare where the sprinklers are, and the sprinklers start to go off, and everything gets wet, and then you see I think that Gabriel lifts up Molly and starts to run out, as if she's saving her because that's what needs to happen, and they come out and they're all dripping wet.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to jerk free from him and take advantage of the smoke and the confusion to change into costume.
Okay, absolutely. So yeah, you can. And what do we see? Where's your costume hidden away? How does that change go on? Is there a device? What does that look like?
I'm just wearing the leotard under my clothes.
Okay.
So I strip off my clothes. I put them into my backpack, which changes color.
Okay.
To match my uniform, and my boots change color because I run this metal comb through my hair, and my hair changes color. I've got this programmable dye technology.
Absolutely. You will get outside, and you will see the flames are still around Will. He's that Will is still in his secret identity, and there are all these kids looking out from the windows from the multiple floors of the school down into this courtyard where this is going on. So he's kind of stuck in some ways. Will, remarkably, you will see Sarah Sparks and Gabriel come out of the cafeteria there.
Okay, well, Will is a little bit relieved because he knows. Well, I guess since Gabriel changes appearance all the time, he might not realize that that's actually Gabriel.
Oh, it changes kind of daily. You knew Gabriel came and looked like this whenever they came to school.
Okay, so I know that particular person today is Gabriel.
Right.
Okay. Is there always some tell with Gabriel's forms, like a particular
That's a
hair
good
color
question.
or eye color or color scheme for her?
It's not obvious from the color scheme. It's more obvious from the light shadows, that basically the shadows don't touch and they don't appear right. That's something that they haven't mastered yet.
Okay, so she's basically like a walking light bulb for the purposes of offsetting every shadow.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah.
Okay. Well, he's a little bit relieved because an actual superhero was here, and he's really disappointed that he can't jump into superhero form, because it's Sarah and Gabriel, and he can't change out here.
So what do you want to do?
I think he says, "I don't know what this stuff is. It's following me," and he's sort of spraying at it ineffectually with that little psychic construct extinguisher.
All right. So I think as you do that, you will see suddenly all of the flames pull into where that silhouette is, and it will kind of go, and there's definitely a sound of like oxygen being drained out of the air by the flames and stuff. And you will see suddenly standing there is this figure in kind of almost kind of body armor, maybe a little bit of kind of a tech suit of some kind. It's hard to tell, but you see that they've got almost like helmet over their face, kind of comes down, and you can sort of make out their head, but there's clearly some gas in that helmet. They look human though, and they are looking around, trying to figure out exactly where they are. So what do you want to do, Sarah? Since I kind of cut you off after mid-change, what do you want to do?
I'm going to confront this person and just ask, who are you? What are you doing here?
And you see him kind of look at you, and he goes to turn and walk away. Like with that casual look of, you're not important enough to me to even bother.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to jump over him, land in front of him, facing him, and just hold my hand up and like, stop. Hold it. You need to explain yourself.
So, are you trying to provoke him to respond to
Yeah,
answer?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, because you're being a little aggressive. That's superior, which is one of your strong suits.
That's a 10.
And so he will stop and he will look at you and he will say, I'm not here for you. I've been sent for another. I'm looking for the one they call Overclock.
What do you want with him?
I want to claim the bounty that's on his head right now.
I can't allow that. Go back where you came from.
And he says, no.
Okay, and I'm gonna smack my fists together and cause a bright flash to catch him off guard.
Okay, well let me check and see what the others are doing as you're confronting him. We kind of let's see in the background. What are you doing, Gabriel?
So this guy's still on fire. Is that right?
No, all the flames got sucked into him and they're gone.
Okay. So the flames
seems
are gone.
to be in some kind of transport effect of some kind.
Okay. So I think in that case, I think I'm going to step up beside Sarah and say, you have no purpose here. You should leave, but do not destroy things as you go. That's very rude. And whenever he says no to Sarah, Gabriel's going to get in his face. And I think Gabriel does this by is going to basically put a hard shell around him of light. So basically it's a solid cage, not cage, but a solid entity, like boxing him in.
So it sounds to me like you're going at him.
Maybe directly engage a threat.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple ways we can do this. I mean, right now you're trying to kind of hold him in position, which is not necessarily an attack. We could do that with unleash your powers.
Okay.
Or if we want to go into, you're trying to really stop him, we can go to directly engage a threat. What do you feel like? What does it feel like to you?
I'm primarily want to get rid of him. I have a feeling he's going to fight back. That's why I thought there would be a response from him.
Okay. Well, let's do unleash your power, since we also know that Sarah's getting ready to attack. You're kind of changing the environment there.
Okay. sounds great.
And it does play to your strength too, because you are freaky.
And I got a 11.
Okay, so and what does that sort of field look like?
Yeah, so I think that I put out my hand, and there's kind of a bright light that forms around him, but it's solid. And then another layer and another layer. So there's these layers of light that appear around him that are solid to him.
Now I know earlier you said it wasn't your fault. Yeah, but now it's looking like it is a little bit your fault. You see Sarah Sparks getting up there. She's getting those fists ready. You know what's coming next. And Overclock is has done this hard light thing. What do you want to do?
Gabriel had done the hard light thing, right?
Yeah, Gabriel, sorry.
Okay. I think at this point, Will's going to take off running around the nearest building, just basically away, like he's terrified. And he feels super insecure because he's looking like a complete chicken shit in front of Sarah. So he still feels that, even though he's Will, he still feels like awful. Okay. He has no idea what happened to Molly, but at least she's not out here to see him be horribly cowardly like this.
Awesome.
And as soon as he gets around the corner, like he starts his shift into.
Tell me what that transformation effect looks like on panel.
Okay. I think you see a panel like he steps around the building and he keeps running, and you see him like basically touch part of one of his forearms, and this is more like a nervous tick than anything else. Like he feels like he's interacting with something, like where a watch or a wristband would be. And from that point where his hand makes contact, you see this sort of silvery metal sheen slowly like cascade across from there. And when it reaches his head, it forms into this helmet. And I put an image on the NPC and images tab in there.
Ooh, let me look.
I tried to find some armor that still looked a little gothy because his sensibilities are going to shape it a little bit. And his tendency is to manifest like swords and guns and things like that. So, but he always has that some sort of cloak or something, because it's still, even if it's bright and shiny, it still has to be kind of gothy.
I assume the cloak whips in the wind, even when there's no wind, that kind of thing.
Of course, it's nanites. I mean,
okay, absolutely.
It doesn't need a wind to flap.
So we'll see that transformation effect. Sarah, sounds to me like you're going to directly engage this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think as I see the barrier come up, I sort of hold off, and I'm going to try to negotiate with him. It's like it's like,
here's the thing.
Yes.
You're a teenager. You are not good at negotiating unless you have a move on your legacy thing. What you do is provoke.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like.
So what is it you're doing?
Right.
So by the way, if you still want to attack, you can do so. We'll just say I open spots where you want to attack.
Right.
So I don't want to take that from you.
Right. It's like. Look, you're helpless. We've got the drop on you. This is your last chance to give up and go home.
Let's have you roll superior.
That's an 8.
That is an 8. So we've got one team in the team pool.
Right.
I think that they're a little irritated, and I think you're going to gain an influence over asphyxia.
Okay.
who just like that color, the sort of the gas that's in there kind of changes tint. And he begins to kind of push against this field, and he's like, I do not have time for children. And he is pushing against that, and you can tell now he is ready to throw down.
Okay, yeah, okay. I think that was his last chance.
Oh yeah, Gabriel.
I think I'm going to put handcuffs on him, and I think that Sarah Sparks has succeeded in putting him down. He says he doesn't have time. I think I've confused this for him kind of giving up.
Uh-huh.
So I would kind of see this as a provoke.
Interesting. So you're like she provoked. You're also provoking then?
I could also see it as unleashing my powers, or
Well, we've already got the field there, so we've already kind of got you have changed the environment. You've
Okay.
held him in place, so he hasn't been able to move. So do you want to double down on that?
let me hold my action and let's see what else happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, let's come to Overclock.
Okay. I think Overclock basically moves around the other side of the building and then comes like he's coming, like it takes advantage of his inhuman speed to basically look like he's coming from another direction other than the one Will ran in. And he basically comes down and lands next to Sarah and Gabriel. I heard there was some disturbance. What?
He seems to know you.
I don't recognize him.
And he will say, the Imperionics put out a bounty. Time for you to come with me.
Not happening. He's with us.
Yeah, what she said. Plus the Imperionics can suck it.
Then what do you do?
I think you see Overclock basically activate his body transmutation, and he forms like two big cannons out of his arms and says, I don't think this is the way you want to go, man.
Try me.
I don't have to. You're pretty much bottled.
All right. So I think I'm going to take the opportunity, the moment, since we've kind of got that pause where you guys have just been holding on, where you will see him go like this, and you will hear this pop all around you, and you can feel all of the oxygen in the area just go away. And you can see up in the windows of the school, kids begin to drop. And I think that he doesn't even focus it on you guys. He does all of this collateral damage just to demonstrate what he can do. What do you do?
I blast him.
Okay. Let's have you directly engage a foe.
Ooh, that's something I'm actually good at.
That might, maybe. We'll find out, won't we?
Well, my basic rating is good. Whether my roll will be good is an entirely different question.
Exactly.
So, which move does Unsecure affect?
So insecure. Oh, that's a good question here.
I don't think it's directly engage a threat. I think it's one of the other ones.
Insecure effects. This is why it'd be good to have that. Defend someone and reject what others say.
Okay. So it won't affect this. Okay, that's good. Oh, roll, you jinxed me. That's a 6.
That is a 6.
Can we spend a team?
Yes. You have one team. Tell me how you're helping.
So I think Gabriel is helping by, as at the last minute before overclock engages, putting an opening in an unexpected area of that structure so that overclock can hit the asphyxiator from a different direction that they weren't expecting.
So that'll be a 7 to 9. Let's resolve that. Make your pick on that, and then we're going to do the enter battle. We're going to resolve that thing. So you get one pick off of directly engage a threat.
I think I'm going to take something from him. I'm going to take that field of oxygen destruction.
Okay.
Like that effect is gone. Like it.
So
I knocked enough out of him to where he has to let that go.
Yeah, that seems good. And I need you to roll take a powerful blow, because what he does is you hit him and he ends up focusing that and he pulls the oxygen out of your body.
And of course now it's a 12. So
that is a 12. So you have to choose 2.
Okay. Well, I think obviously one of them is I'm going to pass out.
Okay. And so
so I think I'm going to on a 10 plus I can just choose one from the 10 plus list.
Absolutely.
So instead of choosing 2 from the lower list, I'm just going to basically that yanking all the oxygen out of me just completely knocks me out.
So you blast him through that hole. He goes flying back. We see, that oxygen effect. There's probably, a visible sheen to it. And he stops it there and he throws it right at you. And then, and you drop to the ground. Now, let's talk about the team mechanics, because this is entering a battle against a dangerous foe. So we have now 2 team in the pool. Is there a leader?
It's definitely Sarah Sparks.
Yeah.
Okay. Sarah, you have influence over everyone else on the team, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that becomes a 3. Feels to me like everyone has the same purpose, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. We want to take this guy out.
I don't think anybody mistrusts you right now, right?
No.
So that takes us to we've got a 4, but I do think you're a little ill-prepared.
Okay.
So 3 team right now in the team pool. Sarah, what are you going to do? Your companion drops.
Okay, I'm going to directly engage him while pulling my punches. I'm trying to basically serve as a distraction so that my teammate can get it, so that Gabriel can get in a good attack.
Okay. So that sounds like you're supporting someone?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I'm directly engaging him. I'm keeping his attention.
Okay, so you're kind of pre-stating what you want.
Right. But I'm pulling my punches. I'm not directly trying to do damage.
Tell me what that looks like, and then let's have you roll.
Right. I mean, I'm jumping around. I'm using my agility and my speed to keep out of his way while I'm hitting him with my dazzle fist, and there are these bright flashes so that he can't keep track of the environment around him. And I'm just being an annoying little mosquito. That's
so you are Going to roll with Savior then.
Yes, and that is an 8.
That is an 8. So
Oh no, sorry, sorry, that was a 7.
7.
So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, but yes.
So you want to create an opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. So you will see that. Have you guys worked out team mechanics? I mean, how does Gabriel know that that's what you're doing?
I mean, I think we've worked out team mechanics to that extent that I tend to be the distraction who keeps the bad guy's attention to create openings for the rest of the team.
That seems fair. Now let's come to you, Gabriel. Overclock just dropped. Sarah's engaging this person, but your companion's on the ground. What do you do?
Right, and I was only picked one, so I did not pick resist or avoid their blows.
Oh, that's right. So I'm going to need you to take a powerful blow then.
All right, and is he much more powerful than me? Because that activates, that would activate my fight the good fight move.
And you can absolutely roll with that.
Or the never give up, never surrender move, rather. Okay, so that's 9. So I mark a condition, but I keep my attacker's attention.
Okay, absolutely.
So, and I think that, I think that makes me angry.
That seems fair. This guy is not digging this. He'd like to get a hold of you. You're flashing. He's trying to he's drawing the oxygen around in the area. Trying to be a little more targeted because it seems to be a bigger effect. But you're moving around so fast on him. What do you want to do, Overclock again? Sorry, Overclock. Overclock is on the ground. Gabriel, Overclock's out. Sarah's doing this.
So Gabriel looks at the ground briefly at Overclock. Is like, that doesn't sound like a good time for a nap, and kind of turns back to Sarah. She's obviously setting me up, and Gabriel takes that solid prison construct and brings it up like a hammer and brings it down on Asphyxia.
Okay, then let's have you directly engage a threat.
Okay. Ooh, that is a 4.
That is a 4. So I think that there is that moment when you kind of go to pull that hammer up, and this guy who's kind of been standing in it hard like construct finally, sees that, and he, smashes through that light barrier, and kind of blinking from the blind there, and he kind of clotheslines you into the wall. He's strong as well, and I'm going to need you to take a powerful blow.
Okay. That's a 5 plus 1 condition is 6.
6. So you get to mark potential. Tell me how you take it when this guy just absolutely bum rushes you, smashes you into this wall.
So I think that whenever the light construct breaks, there's this feedback, and I'm stunned. I normally, would be able to get out of someone's way like this prior, but he smashes me into the wall, and the wall starts to buckle, and that's whenever I melt the light. There's this big flash of light, and I melt, and I'm on the other side of him.
Okay. Sarah, this guy smashes through that light, gets out, and slams into your teammate, and is looking back at Overclock.
Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to move to protect Overclock. Get between Asphyxia and Overclock, and just hold him off until Gabriel can get back in the game.
I think that's defend.
Yeah. Okay, that is let's see, which is defend his savior. So that is an 11.
That is an 11. So he comes again. He shot like a dart across there, fast, strong, and now he kind of turns and he goes to dash at Overclock. Tell me how you keep him from getting his hands on Overclock.
I think I've studied judo. I know how to redirect momentum. It's like, I mean, I dive on the ground in front of him. I sort of kick up and catch him in the chest and hurl him past Overclock. He smashes into the wall behind him, and I'm on my feet, and I've interposed myself again before he regains his bearings. And yeah, and I think I'm going to clear my condition.
That seems fair. What do you want to do, Gabriel?
Yeah. So I think that we just saw this person kind of head towards Overclock, and Sarah Sparks just, said, no, you're not coming any closer. But he's not paying attention to me. I'm going to reach over and grab a hold of that helmet and yank it off.
Okay, that is directly engage a threat.
Okay. That is danger. Is that right?
Yep.
I got a 5.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to spend team for this? Can you do that?
Well, only one person who's conscious can, and they
Okay,
can only spend one.
Okay.
That would only get us up to a 6, which wouldn't help, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine.
The good news is that you mark potential. I'm also going to have you mark a condition.
Okay.
And I think what happens is you kind of pull on that mask, and when you do, you actually kind of crack it a little bit, and that feeling of that oxygen being swallowed out of the area gets like worse. Like this guy begins to stagger back, and you can feel like all of the oxygen in the surrounding area around the school and stuff is getting sucked out, and it's not in this guy's control. Like doing that has let loose that power kind of wildly.
Okay.
Sarah.
What condition do you want me to mark?
Oh, no, that's up to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hopelessness.
That does seem right.
Yes.
Okay. I think he's got the right idea. It sounds like taking this helmet from him, it may not have had the effects that he wanted, but it seems like a good plan. So I'm going to directly engage also and try to take.
Okay, except that taking the helmet off seems to have been what caused the deprivation of the oxygen in the air.
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, it seems like if this is tech, I'm good at tech, so I want to get a hold of this helmet.
Okay. Then let's have you directly engage a threat.
Yes, and I am pulling my punches so I can use superior. Yeah, that is a 12.
That is a 12.
Yes. So I will take the helmet, and I will resist or avoid their blows.
Okay, so you will pull that off, and when you do, he kind of explodes, and you will feel all of the oxygen in the area just, I mean, you can't even keep the breath in your lungs here by this. And he will, I mean, the suit drops to the ground. But you can hear up in the school, there's this brief moment of pop, and then people kind of screaming.
Okay, well, I mean, I've got enough oxygen in my bloodstream to stay conscious for at least 30 seconds, so that's plenty of time to assess the situation.
Okay. Let me check in with Gabriel, and then we'll come back to you.
So Gabriel just saw. It's obvious that this equipment is
Some kind of containment suit.
Yeah, it's causing the oxygen to get sucked out of the area.
No, that's not necessarily obvious. You could assess the situation.
I will do that. That
Okay.
makes sense. Yeah.
Let's have you roll superior.
Okay. Let me see. Assess the situation. Guilty. So I've got a -2. So I've got a -1 to this.
Okay.
Oh, and I rolled a 4. So I've got a 3.
So the good news is you get to mark XP.
Right.
The bad news is you can see people dropping like flies up in those windows.
Okay.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'm assessing the situation.
Okay, roll superior.
That is a 6. I mean, I think this would be a good time for somebody to spend a team out of the pool.
That's right. I'll spend a team out of the pool, and what I'm doing to help is I'm isolating the 2 of them with that hammer cage thing to kind of keep more oxygen in that area so that there's more time to see what's going on.
All right. Yeah, and my question is, what here can I use to reverse this effect?
You think that, maybe if you jam that suit back together, there must be some kind of fail-safe on him. I mean, if this is some kind of containment suit for this person and they're kind of falling apart, the suit must have something. Maybe you could use your tech skills to do that. It might be able to stop more people from being horribly injured by this.
Okay, yeah, okay, so I'm going to jam the suit back together.
Okay. What do you think that is to do that? Do you think that's unleash your powers?
Yeah, I think so, because it's not my best skill, but it's sort of gadgets are one of my abilities.
You have Overclock there with you. They can help.
All right, so yeah, oh, that's a 10.
Look at that. So you will slam this helmet back onto this thing, this dome onto it, and you'll hear almost like a set of motors, something fire up that seems to draw whatever substance this guy was made of back into the suit. Clearly, so he's not dissipated, but he is unconscious. And you can hear people up. I mean, alarms are going off. People are crying for help. There's people that have dropped. People that hemorrhaging and things like that from the oxygen and the pressure and so on up in the school. It's kind of a mess around here.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm going to use my secure communications protocol to get in touch with Aeon and tell them we need an alien containment unit at the school.
Overclock, what are you doing?
Am I awake again?
Yeah. What does it feel like when you come to?
Well, probably it's a shock because all of a sudden I'm able to breathe again. Probably the techno-organics maybe extended me a little bit longer than I would have if it was just will. I think that part of that part actually helped him. But he's still groggy and sort of stumbling as he crawls back up to his feet.
Yeah, you'll see students from your school kind of pouring out of exits. They're holding each other. People are bleeding from their nose and eyes and such, and they're kind of staggering out from what just happened. Gabriel, see Overclock finally end his nap.
And then, you know, I kind of look over and I say, "It is unusual for you to sleep while there is danger around. Why would you do so?" I think I also recognize. So the people are out of danger.
Yeah.
Is that obvious?
Yeah,
Okay.
people are injured quite badly in some cases, but there doesn't seem like anybody's going to die right now.
And Sarah, are you obviously on your communicator, or is it a secret kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm obviously on my communicator.
Good. So you know what's going on. I think in that case, I'm just going to form a dome over us, so that it keeps prying eyes out until the people you're calling can arrive.
And we'll see a bit of a time lapse. A montage. We cut back to an Aeon containment team, putting this guy in some kind of controlled like tube or something. Do you imagine that they come in a ground vehicle? Is it a hover vehicle? What kind of transport do they have there, Stephen?
I think it's a hovercraft.
Okay. And they're loading it up, and they're not debriefing you. They're just taking care of the situation. You have the sense that they know your grandfather. They know who you are. They know your dad. They know, you've got that communicator to do that. They're not going to question you out here in the middle of everybody. When people start asking, "Hey, what happened to Will?" What do you say, Overclock?
Overclock's reaction is he doesn't say anything. He's like, "Who?" I mean, he's not like going, obviously who, but he's not responding to that. Let's say, well, it looks like that guy's contained. Whatever he did, like, knocked me for a loop. I don't know what exactly happened, but I felt like I couldn't breathe, and then I was out.
So whenever someone asks what happened to Will, Gabriel's eyes get really big. Does Gabriel know Will and Overclock are the same person?
Will and Gabriel, well, Overclock probably wouldn't have. I mean, he wouldn't have actually told you, but okay. I don't know what your senses are like.
No, I wouldn't have figured it out. I'm clueless. Okay. So Gabriel's eyes get really big, and they run around the corner where they last saw him, looking for the body, like panic.
It's like I call you back, and I give you this little signal, like, I'll explain this later.
Okay. Well, I do, Molly. I know that you're Sarah Sparks, because you kind of changed in front of me, and I think we've done this kind of thing.
Right. We have talked about how when I'm dressed like this, you call me Sarah.
Yes, and don't tell anyone else.
Right.
But I think it's one of those things. It's like, well, Sarah, they're going to be looking for Molly. Maybe you should go lay down with the hurt people inside.
Yeah.
You're contemplating that because you kind of want to do that. You don't want to get in trouble. At the same time, you see this car pulling up.
Yeah, I want to stay. I want to stay on site until this guy is securely in the hover vehicle, and then I was going to excuse myself. But yeah,
they're getting put away. Up. You see, they're doing a head count. They're trying to find kids who are missing. They're trying to assess that. Even as you see Dr. Allset step out of this black car, and is kind of, he's medium height. He's got a kind of classic scientist trench coat. He's got a little data pad on, and he is walking over towards where you are. Even as you hear someone going, Molly? Molly Kirby? Miss Kirby? You hear Miss Kirby? Could you please say Miss Kirby?
Flies off.
Yeah.
At this point, he nods to Brent and said, I think the danger is past. And
Yeah.
he flies off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll stay behind while the rest of my team makes themselves scarce and keep Dr. Allset busy so that they can make their getaways.
Scarce, even as you hear the school officials, we're looking around Miss Kirby. Miss Kirby, can someone please get I need to talk to the authorities here. Miss Kirby's missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Allset will walk up to where you are at. Miss Sparks.
Dr. Allset.
So that's a high value target you took out there.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know of his kind?
Asphyxia is a mercenary assassin. If he's here, he certainly had some kind of mission. Who was he looking for? What was he looking for? What was his target?
He didn't say.
Really?
Yes, he didn't seem terribly communicative. He didn't seem to take us seriously at all.
And he will look at you and he says, kind of looks around, and he does that thing as he kind of gestures to all of the injured kids that are around. And he says, I don't know why he wouldn't have taken you seriously. At least no one died. And I think he is pushing on your savior down. He's essentially trying to kind of put you in your place here.
Yeah, I'm going to try to resist his influence.
Okay.
Because I know we did good, even though he's. So let's see, resisting your influence. Resisting influence. What do I roll against?
You roll. There's no add.
It's just okay. That's an 8.
That's an 8. So on a hit, you successfully hold yourself and tune them out. And then you choose one. You can clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong. You can shift one label up and one label down, your choice. Or cancel their influence and take +1 forward against them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will mark potential and say, that's right. Nobody died, even though it was just the 3 of us against a high-powered alien threat.
Well, I guess I better go see to the transport. Doesn't acknowledge your rejection, but enough that you kind of stand up to him. Not enough to break his hold over you, but enough to kind of get the final word here.
All right. And I'm going to head back into the school, and I'm going to find some closet where I can change it, and it's like make my excuses. Oh, I fell unconscious, and here I am.
Absolutely. And so you will get yourselves situated. They will they have parents come and pick up their children. They cancel school for the rest of the day. Aeon takes this villain away. I want to do one last bit here before we end and do the end of session thing. Let's start with you, Will. What's the home scene? What is the scene of you at home after this?
Okay, I think you see they've of course had to call parents because I mean, the bus routes are all screwed up with the school letting out early. So they call parents, and some of the parents like come to get their kids. And I think Will's parents do appear to pick him up. He sort of stumbles back into the main body of students, and he's used his body transmutation ability to make it look like he's got like a bloody nose and maybe a black eye from falling down or something like that. So he's like using that little bit of nanite smudging to make it look like he passed out or something like that and fallen.
And your family, do they know or not know about your state?
I don't think they know.
Okay.
I don't, because again, talking about it raises the Imperionics' awareness. So he has told very few people, only people that he thought like had to know. And he didn't think his parents really needed to know, because there's nothing they can do to help him.
Mom, dad, siblings?
Yes, he's got his mom and dad, and hold on a second, let me find that part again. There we go. His dad, Alan, mom, Danny, and younger sister, Morgan. And Will is constantly pissed off that Morgan got the gothier name. He's just Will, and she is named Morgan, which is like the gothiest name he could probably expect out of his parents.
And your dad's like, oh, geez, these superheroes. Oh, geez, we got kids getting injured, things like that. I don't understand why they let them run around like that.
Hey, and I think Will is like, well, I mean, it was like a supervillain attack. I mean, they managed to stop him from killing everybody.
What was he doing there? I bet you dollars to donuts that he was there fighting some sort of superhero creep. I mean, it was a supervillain, superhero. I mean, at the school, what's he going to steal your lunches?
Oh,
your hostess fruit pies?
I mean, some of those guys don't even try to steal anything. Some of them just like to hurt people.
I tell you, it would be better off. No, just can't stand him. Does that thing where he goes to the full grump at the table there.
And I think Will does the classic teenager. Okay, whatever, Dad. And he like leaves the table and like goes to the bathroom to try and tidy himself up.
And what's your home scene like, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I think my mother has heard about what happened at the school, and she's and it's like I'm reassuring her. Oh yeah, I was fine. I was never in any danger, and she sort of looks at me and says, "I hear that new hero Sarah Sparks was there."
And then she's silent like the whole ride back after that. Drives you back. And very, like, maybe you were supposed to visit your uncle that day, but, like, she doesn't take you over there. Like it's that kind of, like, slightly passive-aggressive thing. Drives you home, gets you into the house, doesn't say a word. And I assume you don't have siblings, right? We kind of established you're an only child, right?
Right. Yes, I'm an only child.
And given that we know that there's some money on your uncle and grandfather's side and the support your mother, I assume it's a nice big house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's not a huge house,
but you probably got a little bit of some training stuff and workout room and things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's hidden basement with a training area and things. I mean, it was originally Night Terror that set up for Night Terror, but I sort of taken it over. Mom got it in the divorce.
Your mom comes in, you see her take the phone, you see her make an order to Grubhub, and then it goes essentially into her office or private space.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to sneak out of the house and go visit my Uncle Ted because I want to talk to him about this.
Okay. And this brings me to my final question. Gabriel, where the hell do you live?
Yeah, so I think that the same group that set me up with the school set me up with like a foster family. My foster father, or it's sort of like a student transfer kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But the host father is a very strong, large robot that is from an established superhero team. And then there is the mother. Now, these aren't necessarily a couple. They just stay in a house that's been provided by the superhero team, and they think it would be best to kind of take care of these people. The mother actually was a member of another of the superhero team, and her powers are flight, and she can shoot beams out of her eyes. But she has a child, like an infant, like
Okay.
maybe 1.5 or 2 years old. That's why they think it'll be good. These people are kind of raising a family in kind of a situation and can explain to me
Sure.
Earth life as well as you're a superhero. Don't do that. So yeah.
The robot is this big sort of figure. It sort of looks like a person, like sort of a weird image of them, kind of thick, square jawed. And he's like, "How was your day?"
And I say I walked home appropriately, and there was we were let out of school early and I give like a report. This is very much a report. I'm used to this, big fight. These things happened.
Ah, are you all right then?
Yes. But
There.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I appreciate it. My friend, however, one of my teammates got hurt and passed out, but I think he's okay now.
Allow me to express sympathy. I sympathize.
Thank you.
It's good that he's got such a good role model teaching him about being human.
Yep.
Food.
I think we all sit down at a table and consume food of different types. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to end of session. It gives us some stuff to jump from for next time. And hopefully we'll be able to bring Jesse in on that to mass quantities. Yes. Stephen, at the end of every session, choose one. Grow closer to the team. Grow into your own image of yourself, or grow away from the team. Choose one.
I mean, I think I grow closer to the team.
Okay. So who made you feel welcome?
I think I worked well with Gabriel. I feel like we're really beginning to mesh in combat.
So what'll happen then is you give influence to Gabriel. Gabriel already has that over you. So Gabriel can shift one of your labels up and another one down if they want to.
Okay. So let's shift superior up, because you were obviously very good during the fight, and shift mundane down.
Okay.
Okay. And you get to mark potential, Sarah.
Okay.
Then Gabriel, did you grow closer to the team, grow into your own image of yourself, or grow away from the team?
In this case, I think I also grew closer to the team, specifically with Sarah Sparks. We worked together as a team during that fight, double teaming Asphyxia to make sure that we could take them out.
And Sarah, you need to shift one of Gabriel's labels up and another one down.
Okay. And I'm going to shift. I'm going to shift your danger up.
Okay.
And I'll shift your superior down.
Okay.
Interesting. Good picks. And then, Stephen, you can clear a condition or you can mark potential.
I don't have any conditions at the moment, so I'll mark potential.
Okay. Gabriel, you can clear a condition or mark potential.
I'll do so. I'll mark potential.
Yeah, because that'll get you to the 5. And then overclock. Do you think you grew closer to the team, into your own image of yourself, or did you grow away from the team?
I think Overclock feels like he grew away from the team because he feels like he's a drain and dead weight. He was dead weight in the fight. As Will, he was dead weight before. He drew the attention of the supervillain to the school, which he feels bad about. So I think he feels like he is basically more dead weight on the team than an actual part of the team right now.
So who do you want to take influence over you away from?
Oh gosh. I think it's probably like as the de facto and obvious leader of the team. I think that maybe Sarah's losing it.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, I think Molly would still have it, so I don't know how I would do that.
I mean, you can just say that Molly has influence over you.
Yeah.
I'll just put that in there.
And I think this is where we'll stop. I thank you guys for kind of just I'm getting my wheels spinning here. We'll start next time. Hopefully we'll bring Jesse in. We'll assume that they've also been part of this, and we'll get this all worked out. And I'll also check in next time, see if there's anything you definitely want to get. I'll probably ask some more leading questions. We'll do all that check-in at the beginning of next session. Sound good?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks so much. I'm going to stop the broadcast.
Thank you.